Why didn't I catch that word yesterday when I was reading it?
Hi Charlene, welcome to the Fairly Current Show.
Thank you, Fabi. I'm so glad to be on it.
Oh, so nice. Charlene, you are here to talk about this most recent book, your second book actually, called Taxi Tales on a Crooked Bridge by Charlene Rajendran, of course. It's a story, not story, but stories about your conversations with taxi cab drivers in Singapore, where you are currently working and residing temporarily. You don't want to move there, do you?
No, I'm there for now.
Yeah.
And here for later.
Charlene, what was the idea behind this? How did it come to be? Because I understand that Amir had a hand in it. Amir Muhammad being the publisher, Matahari Books. Yeah.
Amir had a big hand in it because he prodded the idea of writing a book. And this was about 1.5 to 2 years ago, when I was in a bit of a funk with all kinds of things. And having lived in Singapore for about 8 years now, and not having a car means I've taken a lot of taxis. And I've had some very interesting conversations with taxi drivers. And some years ago, Janet Pillay herself said, write them down, Charles, write them down. And when Janet Pillay says, write them down, something in me goes, maybe I should take note of this. There's history there. Anyway, I did start writing them down many years ago, and I didn't know what to do with them. And Amir's prodding a book made me think maybe this is the time to play with this idea. So then it morphed into this collection of tales, my reflections on them, some photographs taken from inside taxis as I was traveling as a passenger, these strange questions that crop up as I'm writing, and then these funny poems. So it's an experimental collage of text, I would say.
Right.
So the idea has morphed. There's a genesis of Amir saying, why don't you write a book? And then all these funny things happen, and then now there's this.
And it is a funny little book in a way, because you immediately see that it's a strange format.
Yep.
Yeah, and of course, a very striking cover. How much of this was Amir and how much of this was...
It was Amir, Norman, and you, Fahmi. Fahmi is one of the designers of this book. Blam are the designers, and Norman Tay is the other designer.
Okay.
So it was a lot of talking about how the format would work, because as a collage of text, this book is not your does not have your regular flow. It's supposed to work as a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Amir has called it quirky and jaunty, and I think that probably is about right.
It kind of does have a sense of getting in a taxi and then listening to one story and then getting out and seeing a lot of different sites, especially in Singapore. Do you think having the book has been out
Just about a month.
Just about a month, a bit more. And it's already into its second edition. It was like number 2. It opened at number 2 on the MPH list.
Local non-fiction list.
And surely you must feel like kind of proud as somebody who hasn't written a book in like 10 years, right? Your first book being Mangosteen Crumble.
Which was very different. That was a collection of poems.
Of course. Yeah.
It's great. I mean, obviously something about this idea works. Something about people having experiences with taxi drivers is clearly a resonant idea, and people want to hear and talk about this thing. They want to get involved in it.
And you do hear people sharing a lot of stories about taxi drivers. In Malaysia, the most predominant story would be, I was cheated by this cab, or
kena tipu meter lah.
Yeah. But the latest news is that as early as July, taxi and bus fares might be increased by 30% in Malaysia. Yeah, which is good in a way, because
good for the drivers, but let's hope they keep to the meter.
Yes.
That is the most important thing.
Now, Charlene, talking about keeping to the meter, in a way the book has, of course, I'm sure, received, like you said, Amir has called it quirky and jaunty. Not queer, quirky and jaunty. And other people have surely said other things. Now, how has the response to the book been? In the sense that, what does it reveal about how people look at the book, and also how people think about the culture of taking taxi rides?
I think there are two kinds of responses. One is the actual taxi experience. So one enjoyable response was somebody saying, I kind of enjoyed this book and it made me want to go out and talk to taxi drivers and make a film, which thrilled me to bits. The other was somebody saying, Yeah, this thing about taxis and Malaysians and Singaporeans and you being a lecturer in Singapore. So, do you think being a woman, so what it reveals is that people are thinking about why you can talk to them in this way and how come I don't have these experiences with taxis? Because one taxi driver sang to me.
Right.
Have I told you lately that I love you? I'm serious. Wow. It happened. So it also reveals that maybe we need to play a bit more. And this is a space of play. So that's interesting for me, that it's a very accessible space. Everybody can go out and take a taxi.
Right.
So
except during peak hour when all the taxis
Singapore can.
Singapore can.
That's the difference. Singapore, you can take a taxi in peak hours as well. I mean, not all taxi drives are great. Some of them are tediously painful. Some taxi drivers are boring. Some of them are speeding at 2 o'clock in the morning. And you
some of them talk to themselves.
Some of them talk to themselves. Some of them are flinching literally as they're driving.
And some of them are, actually very, very qualified, whether they're engineers or
entrepreneurs, people being businessmen, people who are full-time mothers who are doing this because it's flexi time.
Do you think this process could be replicated in Malaysia?
Yes.
And you think, should it be done?
I mean, somebody I'm sure will probably want to do it. I'd love to do it. It's a question of whether or not I can tahan without a car in KL.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, but I'm sure there are stories. I'm sure, it can be done, of course. I want to do it in Indonesia.
Indonesia? Oh my god, that's even more like
I want to go
amazing.
all over Indonesia in a
or
taxi.
like Thailand in tuk-tuk.
I don't speak Thai.
Tails on a tuk-tuk.
I don't speak Thai.
Okay.
Bahasa Indonesia boleh sikit ya?
Bisa.
Bisa dicakap. Ya?
Do you think that you're going to embark on another book soon, or are you like going to wait another 10 years?
Right now I am embarking on a very different kind of book.
Okay.
So yes, I'm embarking on a book, but it's a very different creature. Okay. It is based on the theatre work of Krishen Jit.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show, Charlene, and all the best with all of your book making.
Thank you. Bisa ya.
Okay.
The unwelcome word of the week is meletup. Meletup. When something is a success, we say it meletup or explodes. This is the opposite of the American concept of bomb, because Malays have a different hermeneutical understanding of pyrotechnics. Hermeneutical. Jaya Macha! Your CD was hampe, but still meletup!
Popteevee.